That's our whole purpose there. They are a national police force. So throughout the whole nation, they have one large police department with multiple headquarters stationed throughout the country. They have approximately 30,000 officers, and they provide traditional police services, which they call blue shirts. So they enter calls for service the same as we do here. But the Border Patrol are also under the police department. So it's a separate section. They train a little bit different. They are a little more militarized than U.S. law enforcement counterparts. We tend to think of U.S. law enforcement as paramilitary because of our structure. They are militarized, and for good reason. When you travel through the country, you can see very much why. They're heavily influenced in intelligence collection and dissemination. It was one of the big things I took away, how important intelligence gathering was, and getting that out and processed immediately to the officers on the streets. While I was there, we stayed in 4 of the major cities, Haifa, Jerusalem, Eilat, and Tel Aviv. Again, all of this was at no cost to the city or to our agency. We visited, this is just a short list. We were all over the place, all over Haifa, the border towns between Palestine and Israel, Syria, Lebanon. We were just all over the country. Old city of Akko was extremely impressive. It's a town, a couple thousand years old, and it's juxtaposed with new construction, and it's very weird feeling to be through there. You see buildings of steel and glass right next to 1,000-year-old buildings that are still in use today. And over here, we hear a lot about race. Over there, it's religious. So you have Christians, Druze, Muslims, and Christians, Jews, Muslims, just all kind of, they're all kind of combined together. And it creates for a lot of tension. The bottom right picture up there is a security station in Jerusalem. Palestinians come through to work during the day, and they have to go through, if you've flown recently, you know what TSA is like. This is worse, and that's just getting to work. And they're screened coming in and going out for their workday. The terror threats are obviously very high. We were able to go to the Knesset, which is like their parliament. We met with some officials and some parliamentarians, which was extremely enlightening. Attended a session of their Supreme Court. They have the only 9/11 memorial outside of the United States, and we were able to visit that as well. I feel very privileged to have been here. So the other highlights, again, that's the Knesset in the upper left. That's their parliament building. We visited some very unique sites. We toured the Israeli Supreme Court, like I said, their National Police Academy. We have a police academy here. It's run by the state of Georgia. We call it GIPSTIC, or the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. Theirs is much larger. Their students stay on campus the whole time. They have a complete medical facility in addition to all their training facilities, dining facilities, everything. And then, like I said, they're also in charge of their Border Patrol, and their Border Patrol trains in a separate area. So we also went to that training area. And we were also able to see their cyber division. That was nothing short of incredible. We weren't allowed to take, obviously, no photos, no cell phones. We weren't allowed to take anything electronic inside the building. But I will tell you, from the inside, being there and watching those men and women work, they have an incredible system. The FBI goes to them for help. That was flat out told to us. We met with several high-level police commanders. They're number 2 in the country. We spent about 2 hours with him. Just incredible leaders. We learned about their police divisions, like, again, logistics, their purchasing, their support personnel, their prison system, everything that had to do with law enforcement. We learned about it. The gentleman at the bottom that I have my picture with, I was able to make a presentation for him. He's in charge of their national, their training academy. Again, just incredible. The trucks on the right down there, that's us driving through the desert to get us up by the border with Egypt. We were up on a very tall mountain, and you're kind of looking over all these multiple country borders. It's very exhilarating. Some things that I've learned over there, some incredible community policing techniques. These officers work among a very violent group of people in a very violent area. It's a powder keg, and it doesn't take much for this to touch off. They just had some big riots in Old Acco back in May. They were shooting at the police, some things like that. It's really, and to see these men and women, how they work, how they interact. We walked through Old Acco, we toured an old Christian church and a mosque within about 15 minutes. And the officer that was with us spoke Arabic and English and Hebrew. And as we were walking through the streets, the people that he met, he was interacting with all of them. And so learning about their community policing techniques and how they're doing that was incredible. Their intelligence gathering techniques, learning from Shin Bet, which is their division for gathering intelligence. They do go undercover. They cross the borders. They're in the Gaza. The intelligence that they gather, both electronically and human, comes back. It's processed and disseminated for counter-terror operations. Their operations and organization is a little bit different from us. I learned a few good things about that. Their specialized equipment that they use, some things that we could probably look at and using here, or versions of it. And again, they were using a particular type of motorcycle that we found out was also in use in Sandy Springs. And I'm really curious. It would just be a perfect thing for us to be able to patrol the parks and like Sterling Creek Park, things like that. So it's something I want to look into further now that we're back. Their organization and how they conduct their officer support as far as all their logistical support, uniforms, equipment, food, all of that, especially when they're in a crisis mode. This is about all I have for you today. Again, it was just I just want to give you kind of a brief overview of what we did, what we saw. It was really incredible. Just some of the things, the wall you see there on the left, that surrounds Jerusalem. Literally it encompasses the entire city. So we toured that. We got to see how that works. The center photo is some rockets that were taken down by the Iron Dome near the town of Sderot. And the people there, part of their building code is to have a bomb shelter in their home. I can't imagine living like that, but it just cemented for me the adaptability of human beings and what we do. Again, it was a phenomenal trip. I just want to share a quick bit with you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them now. And if you'd like to go into detail with me another day, I'd be happy to come meet with you.
The only comment I have is that anytime we can have these interchange and working groups who participate in them, I mean, we just learn so much. I've been to Israel. Luckily I was not that deep into it, but it is a phenomenal country, and their network for security is unbelievable.
Yes, sir. For anybody that's wanting to go to visit for tourism, I can tell you it is an extremely safe place to be. I would worry more about going downtown in America's big cities than I would walking through Jerusalem, especially after being behind the scenes and seeing what they are capable of and what they do on a daily basis to keep people safe. It's absolutely incredible.
Thank you for the presentation. Very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Council, next up, we have the approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Fussell. Is there a second? I'll second. Second by Councilmember Scholar. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Councilmember Ward. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Fussell. All in favor? Motion carries.
Okay.
Next up, planning and zoning, Scott Allison. Do we need to go on into our Board of Health hearing? Public health?
Yes, first two items are as the Board of Zoning appeals.
We are now in a public hearing.
Okay, council, we have two of these. The first one is a petition has been filed with the city of Richmond Hill by Rashana Craven with Racetrack Incorporated, requesting a variance, Article 15, Section 3.C.2A of the Unified Development Ordinance to allow a 15-foot buffer for dissimilar zones instead of 30-foot buffer required. Property is located in the corner of Kroger Drive and Highway 17. Council, you have within your packet the notice for public hearing as well as a location map. As we discussed at workshop, this property abuts a residentially zoned property for the way station apartments. It's a regular shaped lot for the way station apartment. It crosses over Kroger Drive and into the Georgia transmission power lines leading up to the rear of this commercial zone property, thus the requirement for the dissimilar zone buffer. There is some separation between them and their parking lot with undeveloped space. You'll find within the next sheet on the variance application that they've listed out the rear building sidewalk falls within the 30-foot zoning buffer, and its reason is the building depth in the front canopy would not fit on the site due to minimum required truck turning radii. ARB made a recommendation to council for approval after their review of the site plan and working with them with the site plan and configuration of the site. I've included those minutes in your packet as well. There is a representative from Racetrack here that can speak in addition if I haven't covered on anything. Obviously, the question and answer comes after the public hearing.
Are there any public comments for or against this proposed variance?
We'll move to the second public hearing. A petition has been filed with the city of Richmond by Darrell and Cynthia Dunham requesting a variance, Article 12, Section 4 of the Unified Development Ordinance to allow a covered patio to be 14 feet from the side property line instead of the 20-foot side setback required. The property is located at 116 Nelson Drive. Again, council, you'll find within your packet a location map of the property. It's a corner lot off D. Henderson and Nelson. You can see that it's a regular shaped lot, and you also have the application by the Dunhams along with a number of other exhibits. You can see the covered patio in the photo, as well as site plan, giving you an indication of where it goes on the lot. You can also tell by the aerial that's been provided in your location map where it resides on the rear of the property. Obviously, it's not in the aerial, but it gives you an idea of where it resides on the property. There is an existing fence off to the side that's a little bit closer. Ultimately, the property line measured from the pin, a variance be needed regardless. What the request is for a variance to that side property line for the setback. Representative is here from the contractor as well as the Dunhams.
Is there anyone to speak for or against this variance? Hearing none, I hereby close the public hearing and we are back into regular session.
Now you have items for consideration related to those public hearings. I'll read them again. It's approval and disapproval of the petition filed with the City of Richmond by Rashana Craven with Racetrack Incorporated requesting variance Article 15, Section 3.C.2.A of the Unified Development Ordinance to allow a 15-foot buffer for dissimilar zones instead of the 30-foot buffer required. Property is located in the corner of Kroger Drive and Highway 17. I can answer any questions that you have. As I mentioned, the application for the justification as well as the plan and the location of the lot was included in the package.
Is this a 24-hour store or is location or is there closing time?
My understanding of, sorry, I'll introduce myself. My name is Stuart Wallace. I'm here from Hunter McLean on behalf of Racetrack. My understanding would be that it would be a 24-hour location, at least for the petroleum pumping aspect of it.
Scott has the final plat been approved. We have not.
No, the final site plan is not. The lot's already filed, the final site plan is not. But they're at conceptual site plan approval, now they need the variance.
That's what I thought. I thought that's where we were at. I just.
Yes, it's just step one, right? Right. That would come at a later date.
Okay. I'll make some comments, and this is proposed site plan here. If the variance is approved by my fellow councilman and myself, I think we need to have a very thick, dense vegetation growth in the back there. To add some additional buffeting and division. There was a comment made, and I believe it was actually in one of the minutes, that property behind that would never be developed. There's never a never in property development. So there could be at some time something there, and I want to make sure that we provide buffer area, even though maybe we reduce it by 30 feet. So it needs to be good heavy vegetation, good trees, bushes, very nicely done. So with that, that'll be a condition that should I make the recommendation, or any of the councilmen, that we make that a condition of the variance.
I do understand that racetrack is completely agreeable to that. I think that maybe during some of the discussions during the ARB workshop, that there was some agreement on their end to do that, and they reiterated to us that they're on board completely.
But you do have a detention pond in behind the building. I think a lot of that has been moved to the side, or so it appears. And I'll just make one other comment, and this is not necessarily, of course, this variance, but you need to clean up the front of the store out there by the street. That air pump needs to go, all that stuff. It needs to be sing appearance along the front side of US 17. That's not part of the variance. That's an observation.
Right.
You want to make that conditional?
I will with the site plan. They'll amend the site plan, and that was, I passed that on to Scott, but I want to make sure, Stuart had heard it also.
Yes, I'll pass that along to the planning commission. There's other locations on the property, if there's a dumpster, that there's a right side that can be accommodated for.
Yeah, it just needs to be clean on the front side of this.
I have concern about the noise and going on all night and the light with the adjacent senior citizens apartments. Are all racetracks open 24 hours?
I'm not sure I can speak for all racetracks necessarily, and truthfully, between us and our client, we didn't really discuss the business operation hours. So it's possible that it's not 24-hour operation. I can get that confirmed by them prior to site plan approval and all that as well, or site plan consideration. But
Yeah, but if we give you the variance, then we don't have a whole lot of leverage.
This is only on the,
it's on the back end.
only on the back side.
Right, so this is a reduction of the setback on the back side.
Yeah, well, I know where the variance is.
Right. Our understanding would be that with the dense vegetation, the separation caused by this Georgia Power easement, that's of course the carrying the transformer lines, that there really shouldn't be any potential for noise or light pollution at that point. So my understanding is that I don't want to butcher the name, but the Waystar is what you're saying? Waystation, sorry, Waystation. Waystation is a good, Waystation apartments are a good deal back from even the furthest, furthest back setback of this property.
Well, I'm gonna echo what the mayor said. My concern was the lighting as well.
Okay.
Only because in prior situations, we've had big lights and they were shining on people's, when they're trying to sleep and stuff. So just, I'd like us to be mindful of the lighting and that it's not glaring that direction toward these seniors that are trying to sleep at night.
Just a quick one, I'm not a big fan of cutting the buffer between the similar zones. And if I had any concerns about that before, the fact that it's likely that the 24-hour operation is only strengthening my concerns about that.
Scott, how wide is the buffer from property to that?
Well, I mean, one of the things we.
It sounds like it's bordering.
Right, so you can see on your aerial that's been provided. Find that at the front of their application. There's a scale on there that's about 500 feet
500 feet.
Yeah, on the actual aerial that you can see. If you take that off and scale it to the building, it's close to about 500.
The property line, that lot, and that is
Probably like 50 foot, and it's probably another 250.
about, I know.
Yes.
800 feet.
Yeah, so,
It's probably 350 feet.
yeah, it's close to. What we've discussed internally as staff, as far as the lighting was concerned, is to ask them to do some cutoff lighting so it doesn't spill over off the lot. A lot of our older developments don't have that. We've been asking for that on newer ones. There's some parking lot lighting at the apartments, the way station apartments. Those don't, they fill the parking lot. They don't, go towards people's windows and things like that. So we'd be looking for something similar, direct the light down to where it needs to shine on, don't just shine out.
I'm still concerned about the noise. I mean, there's one thing that closes at 9 or even 11, but you're going all night. Will transfer trucks be coming there to fill up or just deliver fuel?
To be completely honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what times they would be doing those deliveries and fill-ups. I would anticipate that based on, as you said, the distance between the way station apartments and the back setback of this lot would be so great that any issues would potentially be non-issues.
So potentially we could have a little truck stop over there in front of the senior citizens apartments.
No, I wouldn't anticipate any more traffic than you would expect from a regular gas station.
Well, yes or no, trucks might pump gas there.
Right.
He's asking if trucks will come and get gas.
No, sorry, no.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, I misunderstood, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes. No, it is to drop a load of gas, not to extract it, yeah.
Not a truck stop.
Right, it's not a truck stop.
That's good.
Yeah. Apologies for misunderstanding.
Council, for what it's worth, I'm still very concerned about the noise there. You've got hundreds of senior citizens in that apartment. And a residential community that was entitled and built before we considered this commercial development in front of it. Any other questions or concerns?
You said that was built before this was commercial?
No, I mean, it was already zoned commercial. I mean, it was built before we decided.
Did the weigh station change from commercial to residential at any point?
We've also entitled another set of apartments next door to that, yeah. You got residential on one side and commercial on the other. And you gotta consider. And no one from the apartments has said anything,
I haven't received anything, neither has our staff.
I mean, obviously they were notified.
Yeah, the property's been posted, notice went out, it's in the newspaper, all of our legal requirements met for the hearing.
Council, any other questions, concerns?
Scott, did I hear you, I may have misunderstood, the property that the apartments is on right now, is that R3 or is that R3?
And it was, when they came in with the proposal for the senior housing, they converted from commercial office.
That's what I thought you.
I don't remember the years.
Anything else, Council? Is there a motion to approve or disapprove?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Ward, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember
Plus the
Foster.
conditions of the, that is both.
With conditions, as noted. We have a first, motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Council. Next, we have the approval, disapproval of petition filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Darrell and Cynthia Dunn requesting a variance Article 12, Section 4 of the Unified Development Ordinance to allow a covered patio to be 14 feet from the side property line instead of the 20-foot side setback required. The property is located at 116 Nelson Drive. Y'all have any questions?
Council, any concerns? Questions?
I'll just comment, you know, this request for variances after the fact, the property's already, the cement pad's already in place. I think there was some misunderstanding or, not necessarily the property owners, behalf, but definitely on the contractors who proceeded without coming back for amending the building permit. I think that you've already addressed that.
Yes, sir, we have, and it's not something that this contractor does often.
It is a Supreme Court gender patio. Property owners, okay. I was by there today. Very nice job that I could see from the cul-de-sac back there. And this happens sometimes where people don't understand the ordinance, don't understand some of the expansion or change orders and how it impacts the permitting process. But I do appreciate the fact that this was called and variance. So I can support this.
Council, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Cox. All in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, moving forward, we have the city council items. The planning commission is canceled the week of Thanksgiving, so I'll move forward to the items for consideration. These next 4 items are interrelated. You guys have seen them before, first and second reading. So what I'll do is I'll, with your permission, Mayor, when we go for approval, we'll obviously need to read them word for word. But if I can, I'll describe them. I'll read the first one and describe the parcel numbers and the zoning like we did last time around. So we have the approval, disapproval petition filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Simcoe Investment Group requesting a rezoning of approximately 13.69 acres with map parcel number 0461-16201 to rezone the land from R2 low density single family district to PUD. The other property is a rezoning of approximately 0.86 acres with map parcel 0461-160 requests to rezone the land from R2 low density single family district to PUD. And last portion of the property is 14.83 acres with map parcel number 0461-162 to rezone the land from C3 Interchange Commercial District to PUD. They're contiguous. That's being asked for the PUD over one piece of property. Council, you have within your packet the entire PUD document that you have seen. I will make a note that based on feedback that was received after first reading, one of the building plans has been removed, the one with the garage. Also throughout this process, they've made the accommodations that you requested regarding the overflow parking, the bus area for kids off Camellia, and also the additional amenity for the playground up on the piece of property, which you can see in the site plan. Everything's within your packet in regards to the parking on the actual lots, as well as renderings of the building elevations. Representatives for the proposal are here and can answer any questions that you have or specific questions.
Council, any questions on this agenda item? We've studied this one a lot. Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Ward.
That appears to be 3 petitions. Can I ask you to please go individually?
Yeah, they're on the agenda individually, right?
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ward. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Scholar. All in favor? Motion passes.
Okay, so that was the 13.69 acres, 0461-16201 from R2 to PUD. So next we would need a motion for 0.86 of 0461-160 from R2 to PUD.
I'll make that motion.
Let's see if there are any questions or concerns there. All right.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilmember Scholar, is there a second? Second by Councilmember Russell, all in favor? Motion carries.
Next is the 14.83 acres with map and parcel 0461162 from C3 to PUD.
Council, any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Fussell, is there a second? Second by Councilmember Ward, all in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, and lastly, and interrelated, it can't happen until that happens, is the approval, disapproval of the preliminary plat submitted by Semco Investment Group for the Robertson Tract PUD. Council, you've seen this, it's within your packet. It stands out past all the other agenda items that they have. Again, it's the subdivision for the lots, the residential lots, as well as creating the commercial lot up front. You're looking at 114 lots residential, the 1 lot commercial. Again, I think it's 19.59 residential, 1.5 commercial.
Council, any questions?
Just a clarification that it doesn't need to upgrade in
Yes, so as part of their traffic impact analysis and the documents that they've been going through with staff, that the improvements to committees here are part of the project and will be followed up by our engineers and their engineers to ensure that happens.
Council, any other questions or concerns? Is there a motion to approve? I'll make the motion to approve. Motion to approve by Councilmember Ward, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Scholar, all in favor? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Business City Manager.
Mayor, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I'd just like to say thank you for working with us, with changes and all, I appreciate it.
Hey, Mayor, I just have a few items. The first one is an approval, disapproval of employee handbook revision request regarding holiday pay. We've had on our books, in our handbook for a long time, and when you're hired, you have a 6-month waiting period for any holiday pay. Well, it's kind of hurting our recruiting a little bit when people who are coming in at higher levels are saying, I mean, if I get hired, November 1st, I've got Thanksgiving 2 days, Christmas, New Year's, with that I can't come to work and I'm not getting paid. So we thought we would make that immediate on the holiday pay. It'll help with recruiting and retaining. So that's a handbook change I'd like you to change, requesting that we change.
Council, any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Fussell, is there a second? Second by Councilmember Cox, all in favor? Motion carries.
The next item is the approval of the proposed budgets for 2022 and the budget resolution. You guys have had these for a while. I mean, I can go into them in a little more detail, but nothing really has been changed since we kind of started the process. So.
Council, any questions or concerns?
What is this? That is something that got twisted up, but this has to do with the next item. Yeah, I saw it in there on my page too. For some reason, it didn't print right. It has to do with the lighting. I just figured Derek is something. That's it's transmission codes for. Yeah, the resolution has to do with the fire fee that we talked about from going from to 600 for commercial and 225, I believe, 225 for residential. Increasing that number. Yeah, we can, if you'd like, I can get, maybe the next meeting, we'll come back and have a number of how many are over 100,000. So how you know how many that would affect?
Very close to the February meeting.
February meeting, that's right. Well, it may be a good idea because that's going to be more and more out there in that area. And the truth be told, I mean, and Brenda will tell you that they require we go out there a lot. So it's certainly justified.
As we have been discussing, the fire fee is still being tweaked and
Yes.
it has been since we what we're doing tonight is making it more fair, and as we continue to tweak it, it will be even more fair than that.
Still not perfect, but we're getting there.
Hearing nothing else, is there a motion to approve? I'll make the motion to approve. Motion approved by Councilmember Ward, is there a second?
This is the budget.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Scholar. Les, you good?
I'm good, I just want to make sure I had, we talked to Cook.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion passes.
All right, the next item is approval, disapproval of T-Splost allocation of $32,000 to Moore Electric Company for the LED high mass lighting fixtures at exit 90. I'm gonna read what that page was supposed to say, because it kind of gives a pretty good summation of what we're talking about here. This is from Moore Electric Company. We've been contracted to replace the wiring and conduit to the existing high mast towers at the intersection of 144 and 95. They'll begin this work in February of 2022, and it'll take 2 months. Once done, power will be reestablished to the towers. We cannot, however, guarantee that these fixtures will still be operational because of the old ballast in them. The existing fixtures are high-pressure sodium. All manufacturers in the United States have stopped making ballast for these fixtures in 2019. It's becoming increasingly difficult to find lamps. We recommend changing out the existing fixtures to LED. Since we'll be on site already, we can replace these fixtures at a lower price. There are 36 fixtures total. So that's why we're here, to get $32,000 out of T-Splost to go ahead and change those high mass lights. We had talked about this in the past. I think the mayor probably remembers, it's been a while, but they'll be brighter, wider LED lights that we shouldn't have to mess with ever again for a long time.
Council, any questions? Is there a motion to approve? I'll make a motion to approve. Motion to approve by Councilmember Ward. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Scholar. All in favor? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mayor.
I believe, Councilmember Ward has a motion to make to take us into executive session.
That this mayor and council now enter into closed session as allowed by OCGA 50-14-4 and pursuant to advice by the city attorney for the purpose of discussing the following legal matters. That this body in open session adopt a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor or presiding officer to execute an affidavit in compliance with OCGA 50-14-4, and that this body ratify the actions of the council taken in closed session and confirm that the subject matters of the closed session were within exceptions permitted by the open meetings law. Said resolution to be in the form as attached hereto.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ward. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Scholar. All in favor? Motion carries. We're now in executive session. By the way, there will be no business conducted after.